before I actually got into the industry officially, 2007 was my first real job, and it was on the TV show Human Weapon, which was where they would travel around the world and do all the different martial arts and stuff. I was an advisor on the Sambo episode, right? They found me because of my YouTube channel. So in 2005, YouTube started. I started putting up Sambo instructionals on YouTube, and then they found me. And then a couple years later, I get a call from Chad Stahelski, who is, people who know, he's the director, the co-founder of 8711 and the director of the first John Wick. And I got a call and basically invited me to work on the movie as a consultant, come by the rehearsals. We wanted to see how a Sambo person would do certain things. I wasn't even in the Screen Actors Guild yet. So it was like all just come on by and hang out and see how you like it. But when I asked him how he found me, he said, YouTube. He goes, "Oh, I subscribed to your YouTube channel, man." So I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." You know, so for everybody out there, your social media is really important. Like I don't consider YouTube social media, but at the time it was kind of social media-ish. We didn't really have like what we have now back then, but yeah, it's be careful what you put out there. It could help you, it could hurt you.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. In my case, it helped big time.
Yeah, I think it's a really great way for like exposure, obviously in the early days for you. With your work on John Wick, you mentioned that was probably one of the first sort of film sets that you worked on. Is that correct? And if so, like what was that experience like when you went there? You went on as a Sambo coach. What was the day-to-day like for you is what I'm sort of asking.
Sure. Well, when I worked on John Wick 2, I was never on set. I was always just in rehearsals and like working with the stunt team behind the scenes. I was never even on the set. So, I mean, it was cool. I got to work with JJ Perry, who was the supervising stunt coordinator, and obviously meet Keanu Reeves and work with the whole team, Jackson Spidell and Eric Brown and all these guys who, like, people who pay attention now know who they are, but maybe back then they didn't know who they were. Then, and I wasn't union yet, right? So I wasn't on the set. But then shortly after that, I got into the union. And then Chad called me and said, "Hey, you want to work on 3?" And so my role on 3 was predominantly also not on set, although I did spend a couple days on set as the Sambo coach in the theater, the training scene in the theater with Angelica Houston, and in that scene when Keanu comes back to the theater and all the kids are training Sambo and all the girls are training ballet, which of course now is the segue to ballerina, right? That's the timeline there. So, but for about 2 months before that ever happened, I was working with 8711 on casting all those Sambo kids. So we were holding the auditions at my gym, and because I'm in touch with that community here in the United States, I was able to invite all the Russian kids and Russian coaches and all that stuff to come audition for that scene. And then I was also working with wardrobe and basically providing them samples of what authentic uniforms would look like. And then also providing them with footage of my training in Russia and in different Eastern European countries so they can get a sample of what an authentic sort of, you ever see the movie Warrior, right? With Tom Hardy, right? So you had the super high tech gym, and then you had the dingy gym, and so the Sambo training facility in the theater was supposed to be closer to the dingy type of a gym, not the high tech, super tech Soviet, like Rocky IV, like kind of thing. So it's like I had video of training in places like that. So I provided that to them, worked with casting, worked with ward. I was working with everything. And then finally I was on set for 2 days. That scene was 2 days shooting. And on set, my job was to basically what they call special ability coordinator. So special ability performers they're above background, but they're below stunts. So they're like people in the scene. For those listening, they're people in the scene that have a skill that you want in the scene. So like if, like in James Bond walks into a training facility and you got guys throwing each other and beating each other up and training hand-to-hand combat in the background, those would be special ability people. Like they're people that are maybe trying to get into the union as stunt performers, or they just have a skill that we need in the scene. So, and somebody has to tell them what to do. So that was me, right? So I was the one kind of directing what was happening with all those Sambo people in that scene. It was really, really fun. It was a ton of fun. Got to meet it was actually, I didn't know I was going to do that. So I show up on set just thinking I'm going to hang out and get to be a coach in the scene. And then I hear on the walkie-talkie, Chad is like, I need Sambo Steve on set. I need Sambo Steve on set. Like Sambo Steve is my nickname.
Yep.
So I go on set and he brings me over to introduces me to the director of photography, Dan Laston. And then he's like, Steve, this is Dan. Dan is Steve. He's like, okay, so we need something going on over here. We need something going on over here. This is how we're going to shoot it. This is where the cameras are. Okay. And then Chad grabs a PA, gives the PA to me and says, you just do it. You just make it happen. Like that was it. He just put me in charge in front of everybody. So for me as a new person in the industry, that was actually really important, right? One, I was nervous. I was nervous as heck.
Would be, yeah.
Now on a big, this is a big movie production, biggest set I'd ever been on. And a lot of people are watching, this rookie, how's he going to handle that pressure? So it was fun, but nerve wracking. But it did help me level up, in the business. People saw that I don't crack under pressure.
Yeah, that's really good. What an opportunity and what an experience as well from Chad Stahelski to work on such a blockbuster movie as well, but also to be thrown in and, put your passion and your training to work in something that was really going to be and really combine those two elements, film and then also martial arts to lead that sort of team. And it obviously did well for you as well.